All right, welcome back to Chicago Live. Brian Jackson here with you on this Thursday afternoon. Time is now 2:46. We're going to bring in former FBI agent Ross Rice. He's going to be able to provide a little bit of perspective as the search continues for the gunman who shot and killed Charlie Kirk yesterday afternoon in Utah. Thanks so much for your time, Ross.
My pleasure, Brian.
So earlier this afternoon, the FBI released a still photo of, I guess, a person of interest that they believe that they want to talk to in this case. Walk us through, from an FBI perspective, what happens next in that process, and also what led them to release that image. What did they need to know in order to feel comfortable putting that image out there for all of us to see?
Well, the first thing they did yesterday was determine where the fatal gunshot was fired from. It was a rooftop on the campus, apparently about 200 yards away. And they processed that area as a crime scene. And from there, I'm not sure if they did it through witness accounts or just through officers doing routine investigation. They determined what would have been the most logical means of escape from that position. It was a rooftop location. I don't know how high it was, but in any event, they followed what they thought would have been the presumed route of escape. There were video cameras on the campus. They reviewed the recordings from those cameras. They saw the image of the individual. Apparently, he was the only individual, at least would be my guess, that was in that area at that time. And they also discovered a weapon, a rifle, bolt-action rifle, in the woods somewhere near where they thought this suspect fled. So it's pretty obviously to me that they're calling him a person of interest. I think he's clearly the suspect in this investigation. They've issued a $100,000 reward, the FBI has, for information leading to the identification of this person. And I think it's just a matter of time before he's located and apprehended.
Ross, you mentioned that weapon that was found in the woods, the weapon that is believed to be possibly used in the shooting and killing of Charlie Kirk yesterday afternoon. Do you find it surprising that somebody who potentially carried out this attack just kind of left that weapon laying around and didn't take it with them?
Yeah, I do. I find it highly unusual. If you look at the video images that have been released, assuming this is the shooter, he took steps to conceal his identity. He was wearing a baseball cap, he wore sunglasses, he had fairly nondescript dark clothing, long sleeves. I wouldn't be surprised if he had or used gloves of some sort to prevent leaving fingerprints. But so there obviously was preparation on his part in advance of this shooting. I'm sure he had scoped out the location. He was able to find a vantage point from which he might have a clear view and a clear shot of Mr. Kirk. But then to turn around and leave the weapon, that's going to offer investigators a treasure trove of clues. Who purchased it, the transfer history of the weapon. Obviously, the key tell will be if the bullet recovered from the victim's body matches that weapon, and that'll be done through a ballistic examination. But there could also be fingerprints, DNA, a number of other items of evidence that could help lead to the identification and arrest of this individual.
Ross, what are some of the challenges of gathering evidence? This event happened at a large outdoor space. We're talking about thousands of people were present there, and we're also on a college campus. So how do those aspects maybe affect or impact the scale of this investigation?
Well, I'm not sure that it did, Brian. If you look at the location from which the shooter is believed to have fired the fatal shot, he was alone. He was isolated. He was by himself. So there were no actual eyewitnesses that I'm aware of to the shooting. So he's going to be linked to the crime through forensic evidence, whether it's the gun, the bullet, physical evidence he might have left behind at the shooting location, DNA, fingerprints. I don't think the fact that there was a large crowd there is going to impede the investigation, and it doesn't sound like anyone that was there actually saw the shooter, at least the shooting take place. So I think that's a non-issue, quite frankly.
Give us an idea of the federal, state, local agencies all cooperating? Who runs the show when something like this of this scale happens?
Typically, Brian, it's going to be the agency that has lead authority for the prosecution. And now, I don't know all the facts. I don't know what's been determined from a legal standpoint yet. If this individual is charged federally, if there's a violation of federal law that he's committed by carrying out this act, and what comes to mind would be domestic terrorism, then the FBI will be the lead agency in the case. If that doesn't exist, he certainly has committed a homicide in violation of Utah state statutes. And whether it be the campus police department or the Utah State Police, I'm not sure who would ultimately have jurisdiction there. But right now, the main focus is identifying and apprehending the suspect. And all the agencies that are involved in the investigation are going to do that literally hand in glove, trying to work together to share assets, to share resources, and bring this to a quick conclusion.
Ross, can you take us inside, I guess, the mindset at the FBI here? How do they find the balance of continuing their investigation, but also making sure to share bits and pieces of information with the media, knowing that so many people are interested in this? How do they find the balance between the two?
Well, as you can see, they've released images of what they believe is the shooter. They're calling him a person of interest, but I think he's the suspect in the case. They've asked for the public's help in identifying the person responsible for this crime. They've offered a $100,000 reward. So I think that's been a very big tell so far. You can't conduct your investigations, though, through the media. And the ideal is that this person is going to be identified, is going to be apprehended, and will stand trial for this terrible act. So you have to follow the rules on pretrial publicity. He's entitled to a fair trial by a jury of his peers. And despite the heinous nature of the crime, despite the public outcry about what's happened, those rights, his right to a fair trial, have to be upheld and followed.
And Ross, this obviously happened at a university campus. Maybe are there any safety or security measures or reviews that maybe all universities or public spaces should be making or changing in light of this?
Well, that's a great question, Ryan. Charlie Kirk was a private individual. He was not a government official. So he didn't have and wasn't entitled to Secret Service protection. Not that that is going to eliminate any possible threat. If you look back to Butler, Pennsylvania last year and what happened to then candidate Trump, there's no guarantee of safety in this world. He had his own private security detail, which traveled with him. They coordinated the security for the event with the campus police, who I believe had a fairly robust presence as well. But obviously, they didn't take appropriate steps. They didn't take into account the possibility of somebody stalking Charlie Kirk and looking to assassinate him.
What's the next step in this process?
The manhunt for the suspect. Federal authorities, local authorities are going to be working intensively to try and identify him, in all likelihood with the help of the public. Whether the reward offer will be an incentive for somebody to come forward or not remains to be seen. I think there's a lot of evidence yet to be discovered, primarily with respect to the firearm and possibly with respect to the crime scene, the location that the shooter used from which to stalk Charlie Kirk and fire the fatal shot. Plus social media. You can't do much right now because you don't know who the suspect is, and we don't know all the evidence that's been recovered so far. Obviously, the authorities are being fairly tight-lipped in what they release and why. One of the reasons being that this shooter is following, in all likelihood, the account of the investigation through the media, and they don't want to tip him off to any leads that they might be following up or any actions that they're going to be taking going forward.
All right, Ross Rice, former FBI agent, thanks so much for your perspective on as that investigation and search continues for the accused shooter of Charlie Kirk. Thanks again for your time.